This week, we're showing you guys how we roasted our first limited geisha from the Volcan Azul farm in Costa Rica. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with April. This time, we're gonna take a closer look at how we're roasting our geisha from the Volcan Azul farm in Costa Rica. Now, we already done a video that explains more in depth of this green coffee specifically that we're gonna link to down below the video. So check that out if you haven't seen it before. Now, more closer up. So Volcan Azul is one of the farmers that we have worked with the longest here at April. We basically visited Alejo every single season, and we're always very excited to work with any of his coffees. And this year we've been buying more than ever. Now, one of the best coffees at his farm and a continuous Cup of Excellence winner, it is his red honey geisha coffee. Now, he actually has several strains of geisha on the farm planted at different locations, which is really interesting because it allows us to cup several different lots from the same farm, different altitudes and different strains with slightly different taste qualities. And out of the lots we chose to cup, we picked one geisha to bring back to Copenhagen and roast for all of you. Now, the red honey process at the Volcan Azul farm is Alejo's favorite by far. It's basically going through a depulping process. He keeps about 40% of the mucilage still on the cherry, and he dries that for up to 12 days. This specific coffee on raised beds. Now, when the coffee comes to Copenhagen, we start by making a bunch of measurements. So we've been roasting this coffee for 3 weeks now and finally have a profile that we're going for. Now, the green coffee measurements are as following. So the moisture level sits at 9.5 and the density level is at 696. Now, we discussed previously how we allow these measurements to guide us in the roasting. And we come to terms with the fact that most measurements are continuous for specialty coffee, as in they're very, very similar, with obviously a few anomalies, but in general, they are going to be very similar. Hence, we're not going to make too much of a roasting decision based on them unless they're very different from what we're used to. Now, with these measurements and the experience we have of this coffee, we're focusing on flavor quality. We know that the Costa Rican terroir brings this beautiful kind of brown, sugary, nougaty coffees, which is true for all of Volcan Azul's coffees as well. But being that it's a geisha varietal, we're also looking for stone fruit, we're looking for floral notes, we're looking for a hint of citrus. Now, in this case, that means roasting this coffee a bit lighter than what we're used to really bring out all of that character and focus a lot on the varietal's taste rather than the terroir, because the terroir is already so predominant in the Costa Rican taste profiles. Now, roasting this coffee, we have a total roast time of 10 minutes and 25 seconds with an end temperature of 208.4, which sounds very similar to what we have on our other coffees as well. However, this varietal at this farm is picking up energy slightly different. So this will actually come out quite light when we look at the measurements. Now, in terms of roasted coffee or ground bean, the measurement is 89.7 and as a whole bean is 69. Both measurements being very, very light. However, as we said before, depending on, for example, how long time after roast you make the measurements and what kind of grind size you have, that's going to give you a totally different number. So if we take the same batch, we grind that on 3 different settings and do 3 different measurements, we're going to see very different numbers. So again, these numbers means a lot to us that works with this process from week to week, but you should be a bit cautious of kind of trying to replicate these numbers because they're not necessarily so easy to work with, as you're not going to be able to get those. Now, what we're looking for here in terms of time after crack, which is something we come back to again and again, it's a determining factor for color. We know that, and it's going to have a huge impact on the final taste as well. We chose to push this 1 minute and 2 seconds after first crack, slightly longer than what we used to, again, to avoid having this coffee being too light. With this, we're also moving into first crack as well as finishing the roast on what we refer to as slightly high end rate of rices, which is a crack way above 5 on a 30-second setting and an end crack way above 3 again on a 30-second setting. Now, this combined profile gives us a really juicy cup of coffee, highlighting both floral qualities as well as stone fruit that is balanced out with this really interesting nougaty brown sugar vibe to it as well, making this one of our favorite geisha profiles that we're working with. So this is not your funky, out of this world alcoholic tasting competition geisha. This is how geisha should be. They're clean, they're juicy, they have a fantastic taste profile that is represented by stone fruit, this beautiful tartaric acidity as well, which is what we're looking for in our coffee. So cleanliness first, taste of the varietal, taste of the origin, before we're talking about let's add a funky fermentation on it. Now, that was all of the details about this coffee. If you have any questions, please let us know, comment down here. Please watch our previous videos about the geisha from the farm as well. And the coffee is going to be available online as you see this video, so go and get it. Thank you for watching. Again, any comments, just write them below here. Thank you.